about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. And thanks very much for joining us. Lots of you joining us live. And if you're watching this later on, which I'm sure lots of you will, if you're having a break after your psychology exam or something like that, but want to catch up with it later, then hi to you too. If you are watching it live, you can join in on the chat window. Please do. And we're looking at families and households tonight in preparation for paper 2. And I'm joined by Craig and Sarah. I actually got my pointing in the right direction, which very rarely happens, so it's impressive. Nice to see you guys. We're going to pretty much get straight on with it, I should think, shall we? Yeah, should we crack on with it? If just going to say that some people are posting some stuff in the chat window, mostly commenting on how you found paper 1, etc. But if you've got any questions as we go through, as well as answering the activities, please do join in with the activities. But if you want to ask us anything, we'll keep an eye on that as well. Although we're going to try and keep this one, we're not going to be quite as long as a pre-exam warm-up one. There'll be later opportunities to ask us anything, but you can ask us a few bits today. Okay, I'm going to pop to the PowerPoint, and I think we're going straight to Craig for a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we often start with one of these activities, a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where we ask you 5 of something, 4 of something, 3 of something, 2 of something, 1 of something. What we are looking for here, this is quite a broad mix from right across the family's topic. So inside of 2 minutes, we want you to identify 5 types of family that have increased. Obviously, sort of like this links to family diversity. 4 functions of the family that can be from any kind of viewpoint. 3 feminists who've studied family life. 2 stages of family life according to Wilmot and Young, and 1 post or late modern thinker associated with family? Because obviously, sort of like sometimes we talk about post-modernity and sometimes it's late modernity in the family. So either of those we will take for you then. Okay, should we start our 2 minutes?
Absolutely, let's go for it.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I'm starting to see some coming through already. So extended family. Okay. Shifa's kind of got me confused. Extended family, sexual regulation, economic socialization, reproduction. Oakley and hidden. So that's about 3 different questions answered there. Well done. Shifa's gone with Giddens. I'm assuming that's for late or postmodern. Excellent. Lucy's got same-sex families, blended families from Ali. Blended families, beanpole families, lone parent families, families, and same-sex families. Excellent. Sorry, that was choose Duke. Cohabiting, lone parents, same-sex, reconstituted beanpole. Yeah, lots of ideas. Postmodern thinkers, Gittins, Smart, Weeks, Stacey, excellent, all correct. Oakley, I'm assuming that's for a feminist who studied family life.
Yeah.
Lone parent, blended families, excellent. Reconstituted lone parent, world families. I'm assuming that's like kind of geographically extended families, distant blended beanpole, excellent. Reserve Army of Labour, primary socialisation, stabilisation of adult personalities, warm bath theory, excellent. We're coming across some kind of Marxist, feminist and functionist viewpoints. Ansley, Greer and Oakley from Chloe, excellent. Oakley and Ansley from Alex. Everyone remembers Ansley for some reason. Don't know why. Megan said primary socialisation, reproduction, economic, stable sex drive. Grace has gone Delphi and Leonard as well as Oakley and Ansley.
Yeah.
Excellent. Elrika, economic weapon. Excellent.
5,
Not a term many people will have heard of.
4,
Yeah.
3, 2,
Some really good replies.
1.
Really good.
More coming through. Beck. Yeah, lone parent. Lots of people coming up with different families. Oakley, Ali Hochschild as well. Stacey, Hochschild kind of works in 2 ways because obviously Marx is feminist. Secondary socialisation. Megan's going with Giddens there as well. Some excellent responses. We seem to know our stuff. Some people were saying, "Oh, I don't know this, don't know that." Don't worry, right? Seriously, don't worry if people have done slightly different studies to you, because obviously, particularly with families and households, there are about 6 or 7 different textbooks that students use, and they do have some different studies. Ali Hochschild talks about emotional labour in the family, and sort of like often comes from a Marxist feminist viewpoint. It's more of a contemporary study than some of the others.
Yeah, won't be in every textbook. That's good.
So 5 types of families that have increased. It won't. Yeah, Ken Brown superior. Okay,
who said that?
That's a plug from Jesse.
Well, there you go, Jesse. That's a fighting talk.
I don't know if Ken watches this, but he would be very happy.
I can
with
if
that.
you're there. Yeah.
Okay, so 5 types of families. Yeah. 5 types of families: lone person, lone parent, blended and reconstituted, same-sex, and cohabiting couples. There are a few others that people mentioned in there. I'm just trying to have a little look back that may have lots been covered. I think there was lots of them. Beanpole seemed to come up a few times as well, and sort of like how that is increasing. It is actually increasing now. There seems to be a battle of textbook authors.
I was going to say Ali and Elrika have put in a vote for Rob Webb. Yeah. Fab. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
See, no one's putting in cheated views. No one's putting in cheated views companions, are they?
The study guides.
Yeah. Study guides.
Yeah.
Never mind. Question number 4.
Next one, the 4. Okay.
Our answer number 4. Yeah. Stabilisation of adult personalities, obviously that is Parsons. Sexual regulation, Murdoch. Socialisation, both Murdoch and Parsons. And reproduction, we would see as being Murdoch as well. Of course, lots of people put in some Marxist ideas there and Marxist feminist ideas. Reserve Army of Labour, I saw going through a few different times. Of course, knowing the kind of functions of the family is really useful. Oh, so there are some choose to you. Look, there is some love for choose to you books in there, Duncan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You
can buy them on Amazon, or you can buy them through the Choose to You website.
Absolutely. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yes. Okay. We did just have an offer on flashcards recently, Ali.
And there wasn't an offer.
We did.
Yeah.
If you bought a few websites, I think it was 40% off. I don't know if it's still going, but
Not sure. Worth a look.
have a look. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing a salesman pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, three.
Yeah. Okay.
Three. Yeah. So Ansley, Oakley, and I've gone for Benson as well, but there were some other people who put in sort of like Greer, Delphi, and Leonard. There's some people may mention sort of like people like Somerville. There's lots of different feminists who discuss in the family. Often, and this is something, often the kind of feminist bit kind of gets applied to gender roles and relationships rather than sort of like actually as a specific theory. But we have seen questions in the past about feminist contributions to our understanding of family life. So it's worth kind of getting your feminists, getting a few ideas of your feminists together.
Delphi and
Question
Leonard's
number
good.
2.
Yeah. I'll just say that a few people were asking about Benston, but just
Yes, Reserve Army of Labour has just been answered by Alder.
Oh, well, there you go.
Excellent.
Well done, Alder. Excellent. And yeah, Delphi and Leonard's another
It kind of
good
Reserve
one
Army
to
of Labour
include.
talks about also talked about women being the slaves of wage slaves.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
idea, kind of Marxist
Yes.
feminist kind of concept.
Absolutely. So
oh,
quite
so
a few of
2.
these were
We're on to
Marxist
2.
feminists. Sorry, I was just saying quite a few of these were Marxist feminists. Ansley, Benson, and a couple of people were asking about Hochschild again. Craig did answer that question a minute or two before, so you can watch back on recap for a bit more detail on who that was. Yeah. Okay, let's
just quickly. Arlie Hochschild, Arlie. If you kind of Google it, it's essentially sort of like one of the big contributions she has is it talks about emotional labour.
Yes.
You may know it as kind of Duncombe and Marsden, sort of like emotional labour and the triple shift. Well, Hochschild talks about emotional labour as well. So, if you wanted to talk about emotional labour in an essay and you know about Duncombe and Marsden, use Duncombe and Marsden. If you know Hochschild, use Hochschild. It's in one or two of the books rather than all of them.
Yeah, it's just a bit more recent, isn't it?
People have put it in there.
Yeah, she was just writing a little more
It
recently.
is. I think it's yeah. Sorry. Okay. And of course, this one didn't get answered quite as much. I think everybody was looking at the other ones, but obviously, Wilmot and Young talk about the 4 different types of the family. One that kind of was speculative, which was the asymmetrical family, which I've not mentioned there. There was also the early industrial family, the pre-industrial family, and the symmetrical family. And number 1.
You went with Beck, didn't you? As quite a few other people did, but there were lots of other suggestions.
I went with Beck. You could have gone with Beck Gernsheim. You could have gone with Giddens. You could have gone with Gittens, just to confuse matters. You could have gone with Weeks. You could have gone with Stacey. There's lots of different sociologists that come into the kind of new and late modern idea. That's right. Humira, sort of like Beck and Risk Society, probably better known for things like the negotiated family within the family side.
And Giddens.
Over to you, Sarah.
Oh, sorry, yes. I'll hand over to Sarah for the bubble quiz.
Brilliant. Yes, we are going to do a bubble quiz and we're going to focus on gender roles in the family, which we've talked about a little bit already today. You may be familiar with the Tutor to You bubble quiz, which is more challenging than your average multiple choice because there could be 0 correct answers, there could be 4 correct answers, or there could be anything in between. So your task is to put in the chat the letters for the answers that you believe to be correct. Let's have a look at question 1. Okay, so how many of these answers do you think are correct? Which of the following are features of Parsons' view of gender roles in the family? So we're going back to possibly some of the first theory that you looked at in the family back in year 12. What did Parsons say? Oh, look at that. I just had a load of answers come through all at once. Brilliant. We've got lots of ABCs. We've got some BCs. And I think the ABCs are going to be quite pleased with themselves. Let's have a look at the answers. There we go. So the only one that was a red herring really there was the fact that both men and women share housework equally, because Parsons was quite a big fan of those kind of biologically suited, apparently, roles of the man and women taking particular roles each in the family. Right, let's have a look at question 2. So, which of the following are examples of the dual burden or the triple shift? So, I mean, if you read The Guardian, there's always articles about this. It's a really good place for wider reading on this topic. So you might, if you read quite widely, you'll be more used to seeing examples of this, and you'll have contemporary examples. So what do we think is correct here? And are any of these not examples of the dual burden or the triple shift? Got lots of answers coming in. Well done, Gracie. Well done, Isla B. Well done, Chloe. Brilliant. Okay, we've got lots of AC, and I think you are absolutely right. Well done. So, men participating in childcare activities would not be part of the dual burden or the triple shift, because that's what, if you've looked at Rise of the Super Dad or kind of contemporary studies like that, that's one of the things that is kind of seen as the march of progress in the family. And men making important financial decisions is not necessarily part of the dual burden or triple shift, but it is a very interesting point if we're thinking about power dynamics within the family. And we've got our,
sorry.
that's all right. That's
I'll go
okay.
back.
Or should we have, I was just going to have a little look at the ones that were right.
Sorry. There we go.
Where are we? There we go. So women doing paid employment, of course, that is in the dual burden and the triple shift, and women doing emotional support work, whether you call it emotional labour, whether you call it emotion work, or whether you sometimes in contemporary media, you might see it called the mental load. Whatever you refer to it as, it fits in with those lovely feminist theories there. Right. Question 3. Okay. Which of the following are criticisms of the March of Progress view? So it's really important if you are looking at this debate about division of labour in the family, whether you can argue the March of Progress, but then also whether you can criticise that argument of the March of Progress. It's a bit of a liberal feminist versus radical feminist debate. What do we think here is a criticism? How many of these might be considered criticisms of the March of Progress view? What have we got coming through? Fantastic. Well done, Maisie. Well done, Renee. See if we've got any more. The answers seem to land in a big pile every few seconds. You might get nothing and then get 100 at once. Brilliant. Well done, Twix. Well done, Priya.
Oh, I like weaponized incompetence, Alda.
Yeah, very, very topical. If you kind of like TikTok and Instagram, if you start getting into the algorithm of domestic division of labour, it's quite a dark place. But it's, you know, there's a huge amount in kind of social media at the moment. It's very, very contemporary. But great for getting those really up-to-date examples into your essays. And we've got loads of people saying all of them. Yes, these are all criticisms. So you've got some fantastic ways that you can say, well, look, Wilmot and Young said we were going to have this amazing March of Progress. They said it in the 1970s. What were they thinking? Has it really happened? And we have got kind of more recent studies. Warwick University did a big study that showed that things have actually stalled a little bit in terms of the March of Progress. Research shows that women are still doing this kind of mental load, emotional labour. Women often bearing the dual burden and the triple shift. We saw that particularly through COVID. There were some really good examples. And there's some current research emerging in the last couple of years about home working and people that have flexible working and how that might have pushed us back into some of those traditional gender roles. And men's involvement in domestic tasks. I think this is such a lovely criticism, this idea that sometimes the men are involved, but it's the playful tasks, or it's just taking the bins out, or it's, you know, I kind of did this one thing and it's not necessarily, it's picking and choosing. I think that's the argument. But of course, if you read The Rise of the Superdad, you'll hear very, very different stories. So these criticisms perhaps are coming from one particular place. And that might be the radical feminist place. Okay, what have we got for the next question?
Okay, let's have a look.
So this is our last bubble quiz question today. So enjoy. Which of the following support the argument that the domestic division of labour is becoming more equal? So this is the flip side to the arguments we just looked at. How many of these do you think support this argument? I love how someone said classic Wilmot and Young. Yes, absolute classic, almost vintage, I would say. Very useful to start a good debate. We've actually got some vintage copies of their original books in my classroom, and they're fantastic. And pick them up in charity shops sometimes. Yeah, they're great. So what do we think? We've got some A's and B's coming in. We've got a couple of ABCs in there. So we're a bit split in the room today. We've got some people just saying A. I think AB seems to be the most popular. Let's have a look at the answers. So people who said AB, well done. So we've got Gershony's research. He spoke at one of the Tutor 2 conferences a few years ago. To meet him. Yes, and he's very careful at saying he's not a sociologist, he's a socioeconomist. But his research has been really useful for looking at how people spend their time. And this increase in dual income households, because the argument is a lot of sociologists have said that the more women are in the labour force, the more that the home stuff gets shared. And then we've got the research on lesbian couples. You wouldn't want, now I've seen people use this mistakenly, you wouldn't want to use that to support the fact things are becoming more equal, because what Dunn was saying was that things were more equal in lesbian couples because they didn't have the traditional gender scripts that men and women have. So she was kind of saying that is a different lifestyle choice leading to a very different outcome. And she was using that to explain why men and women are not equal. And then Oakley's findings, Oakley has always been kind of really the antithesis of Wilmot and Young, saying that things have not become better and that women are very alienated in their roles in the home. Good stuff. Well done. Loads of right answers. I think we're back over to Craig for a connection spinner.
Well, someone just asked about why is that to do with domestic? It's then the knock-on effect of it. If men and women are both working, then research suggests then they're more likely to share some of the domestic tasks. And indeed, someone asked what did Gershony say, and that's kind of what Gershony said. There's kind of a lag, but ultimately, when men and women are both earning, then they end up with a more shared work.
It's part of that becoming symmetrical, really, isn't it? If both partners are doing the earning the money job, then that becomes symmetrical. Therefore, the division of domestic labour technically moves with that and also becomes symmetrical.
Yeah. Okay, Craig with a connection spinner.
Oh. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. That was a really good round. Loads of really good answers.
Yeah, very.
Now we're going to look at some of the social changes and their impacts on family life. We're going to use this with a connection spinner. So we're going to look at 6 changes that have occurred in family life, and what we would like you to do is, whichever spinner lands on, we would like you to identify a reason for that change. So let's have a look at our changes. Can we have a look at our changes, Duncan?
I have got
to be lagging a bit here. Okay, so we have. Yeah, we've got it. It's here now. Yeah, we have. Okay, so changes in family diversity. What might be reasons for changes in family diversity? The decline of marriage in contemporary society. Changes in divorce. Now, of course, it's not like we can describe changes in divorce in 2 ways, really. The initial kind of increase in divorce up until the mid-1990s, and then a subsequent decline in the rate of divorces. Gender roles, change in gender roles. We could potentially talk about decrease in the birth rate. Why are we having less children? And the increased aging population. So if we give it a spin, and let's see which one we need our reasons for.
Okay, here we go.
Spin it. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so why have there been changes in divorce? Let's see. Why have there been changes in divorce? Everybody's now talking about paper 1 now.
I know. Let's get back onto paper 2 again for a bit. What are some of the reasons?
Okay, so Caitlin's gone for the Divorce Reform Act. Excellent. So kind of legal changes. The 2020 Divorce Act, obviously, something that creates a change as well. So that kind of builds upon those changes. Probably wouldn't impact that first increase in divorce, but it may obviously have an impact on divorces post 2020. Yeah. Increasing women's rights, different social policies. Okay,
secularization.
Develop that a little bit more. What type of social policies? Equal Pay Act, Divorce Reform Act, changing ambitions for women. Too Sharp, McRobbie. Secularization is a good one. Reduced stigma is a good one. Confluent love, excellent. Young people are increasingly unlikely to sustain their unhappiness in marriages. But you forgot which sociologist says this. This is probably linked into Giddens' ideas of confluent love and kind of individuals finding emotional fulfillment from relationships, pure relationships. From Chloe, excellent personal life perspective. Okay, we could come back to that a little bit. Rising lone parent families, smaller families. That might be an impact of the changes in divorce. But we're looking kind of for the reasons in changes in divorce. So it's a good little bit of analysis there. You kind of moving through what does change in divorce lead to. Women being more career focused.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, Grace did one for why they've since fallen, which was that there are fewer marriages and so therefore fewer divorces as
Excellent.
Well. Yeah.
Yes, and that's useful. I've been asked a few times, sort of like, well, would students need to know that divorces have decreased? Well, you need to know about the changes. So I would sort of like say, if you've got, like, say, for example, something on changes in rates of divorce, then you might want to describe the kind of trend of an increased divorce kind of from the 1970s up until the 1990s, mid 1990s, and then a decline after that. And certainly you wouldn't want to know that change. Okay, let's have a look at what we put. Individualization. There's another good concept.
Yeah. Okay.
Bauman, choices with love. Yeah. Liquid love. Social changes in family life. So I've gone with illegal changes, individualism, financial independence of women, and less stigma. There are some other good answers in there.
Yeah, excellent.
Sort of like, divorce and marriage, and often sort of like you can use some of these examples, sort of like in terms of divorce. Sorry, for the reasons for the increase in divorce to actually explain why there's been less marriage as well. Mm-hmm. Let's look at our second one. Let's hope it's not decline of marriage now, because I've just given you the answer.
Yeah. No. Who knows where it'll land? It's a total mystery. Let's have a look. Okay. The wheel. Oh, I thought it was going to be decreasing birth rate, but it's not.
It's not. It's aging population. Okay, so we have an aging population in the UK. What has been the cause of that? Less births.
Yep.
It's a very good one. And so, like, what you'd have to do in that is explain why we're having less births, and therefore sort of like how it skews, or what's the impact of less births on aging population. Healthcare is a good one. Increased life expectancy, medical improvements. Lots of these really good ones here for reasons for aging population. Decline in birth rates and higher life expectancy. Excellent. So you link them in. And what you would do if you got a paragraph on that to talk about the aging population, obviously you then explain why less births means that we've got an older population. So you would need to make that explanation. Older people living longer, contraception is leading to decrease in birth rate. Excellent. All of the responses that I kind of put there. Increased life expectancy, less children, changes to lifestyles. Of course, that's things like medical improvements and the way we live. Excellent responses there. We're more career focused and having babies more later on. Yeah. Beanpole families, that's another good one that we could look as an impact of an aging population. Excellent. Let's pass back to Sarah.
Yeah, just before we do, I was just going to say,
just with a couple. Sarah now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Just before we do, I was just going to say with a couple of these, and these were your excellent answers to these. Just watch out when you, particularly on the outline and explain on paper 2, that you read the question really carefully, and that you, if it's asking for reasons for the aging population, that you give things that cause it. If it's asking for the way that the aging population might have impacted on something else, that you don't spend too long on what's caused the aging population, but focus on the impact of things. Same as Craig pointed out with the divorces one. There'll be lots you could say about the impacts of changes to divorce and then cause of it. So it's just a case of reading the question really carefully, because every year, sometimes people do them the other way around. The question will be outlined 2 ways that something's impacted on something else, and people kind of do it as if it was the impact the other way. So just keep an eye out for that.
And also the other big kind of trend that we noticed sort of like in there that we've pointed out in the grade boosters was that sort of like look out for terms like demographic changes as well, because they're really important, knowing what is a demographic change and what is not.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. 60-second challenge, Sarah.
Okay, so concepts are everything. Your vocabulary, your sociological terminology is vital. Often we think about it's all about who said what, but the most important thing And AQA often talk about this. It's really important that you know those key terms so that you can pack those paragraphs full of really, really good vocab. So we're going to have a look at, I think 10, 10 key terms today, and your job is to match them up. So don't go to the hassle of typing the words. You've got the letter and the number that you can match up together. You can do one at a time, or you can do a load at once in the chat. It's completely up to you. You have got 60 seconds to have a go.
And if you're watching this on a really small phone, we can only apologise for the text size, but we've tried our best. I bumped it up to 12.
Yeah, definitely rotate your phone here. Okay, got some answers coming in already. Well done. Lovely. Keep them coming. Got a few C3s coming in. That looks good. Well done, Bruh, for giving us a J8. Well done, Jesse. Got a load in there. That's good. There we go.
60 seconds goes fast, doesn't it?
Quick 60 seconds when you're under pressure, isn't it? With the dramatic music as well.
Jesse met Sue Palmer. I just saw that in the chat window. Do you want to tell us under what circumstances did you meet Sue Palmer, Jesse?
Yeah, did you bump into her at dinner?
Did you come to school? Did you come and speak at your school? Anyway, either way, sounds
I'm
really
quite
good.
jealous. I'd love to meet her. Right, so shall we have a look at them matched up so that you can see?
I'm genuinely hoping that.
What? You still there, Craig?
Go on, Craig.
I'm genuinely hoping that, and then it all went quiet.
Yeah, sorry. I was sorry. I realised. I was just going to say. I hope that you didn't meet a big. Yeah, I hope that there's a little bit of a delay there. I think I'm hoping that sort of like Jessie wasn't in her research.
Right. Yes.
Oh.
No. She did a talk at school, Jessie. Yeah. Okay. No, that is very cool. Okay. Shall we?
Did a talk at school. Excellent.
Okay. Let's have a look.
Shall we reveal?
There we go.
There we go. So all of you that said A5, B10 and C3, saw quite a lot of those. Well done. If there are any terms in here that you haven't studied, don't panic. You will probably have different concepts for things. So for example, information hierarchy, you may have talked about that, but you may not have actually used that term. Don't panic. This is just a list of possible or common key concepts, but they're interchangeable with other ones that are just as good. So we've got social construction, march of progress view. If you've got any questions on these, do ask them. Child-centered society, toxic childhood, which is always a favourite. Everyone quite enjoys studying that, I think. Disappearance of childhood, so Postman's ideas that childhood is sort of becoming less of a distinct period of our lives. Age patriarchy, which is quite a radical idea, but always a nice one to throw in there for Gittins, using Gittins there. Globalisation of childhood. Always
I was going to say, don't mistake Gittins with Giddens because they're quite different.
Yeah, oh gosh, yes. Always just remember that it's Diana Gittins, so you can kind of picture her in your head as a woman, and then you can picture the lovely face of Anthony Giddens as a man. I just find that helps me remember the difference. But then I'm obsessed with sociologists knowing their faces. Don't know if it helps anyone. Globalization of childhood. Remember this idea that Western notions are possibly spreading the globe, becoming the global norm, particularly because of the kind of information saturation and the globalized media. Information hierarchy, this idea that digital media has kind of undermined the way that we maybe used to gatekeep information from children. And if you think about, the internet, and then you start thinking about AI, that kind of information hierarchy and that exposure of information to children at a younger age is something that's, if we're studying sociology in 10 years' time, it's going to look very different. Industrialization comes up in, across the family regularly, but really important here, thinking about how that led to a lot of changes within the family. But we can also use that to criticize some of our family theories that perhaps they were written at a time of industrialization and maybe don't apply so much to a postmodern world. And then we've got that lovely phrase, mini adults. So Aries and his lovely paintings that he used talked about these kind of mini adults. in the Middle Ages when there was where there wasn't that distinction or that protected period of childhood. Okay, let's have a quick look in case we've got any questions. We had Keith Trapp. I'm still laughing at the hierarchy of textbooks of everyone giving their favourites. My favourite textbook is Anthony Giddens did one in about 2021, and it's huge.
My favourite though is.
What's your favourite, Craig?
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Oh, the Giddens one, yeah.
I said that's a classic. That one, Giddens and Sutton. Yeah, and then you've also. I really like that comment there. Remember it as Gittins like kittens.
I like that.
Have I gone?
No,
There is a real delay now.
You know what, however silly it is, if it helps you remember it's worth doing.
That was Caitlin's.
Yeah.
No, it was Caitlin's. It wasn't mine. I was just pointing out.
Yeah,
excellent.
Excellent. And someone did their EPQ on Palmer and Postman on the influence of digital media on childhood. Right. Okay. Right. We've got a MCQ from Craig coming up now.
Yeah. Our final activity today is a multiple choice questionnaire. I think I might be lagging a little bit because it's not kind of come across.
All right. We can hear you, Craig, but it looks like you're not seeing the.
Yeah, I can't see the screen.
Really. Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Shall I ask these ones?
It's kind of lagging a little bit.
I can't see it yet either. I can only see the childhood chat.
Oh, it doesn't. No, you're right. It doesn't come across on the screen. What's happened there? That's very odd. That's never happened before, and I don't know why. So that's a new one on me. Ooh.
I feel like we should play some hold music while there's a slight technical glitch.
So that's not advancing, is it? Hang on, I'm going to come back to the studio for a moment while we try and deal with this. I've got a couple of questions while I try and work out what's going on. So,
can I ask the first question, guys? Do you want to? Shall I ask the first question without you seeing the multiple choice, and we'll see whether you can put it in the chat?
Oh, you might just know it. Yeah, go on.
Shall we do that? I've got it in front of me. Which sociologist is associated with, or it's going to be a tricky one, the concept of the neo-conventional family? So, which sociologist is associated with the concept of the neo-conventional family? Let's see if anyone could do that without any multiple choice options.
Answers are coming through and they are correct.
Oh, look at that. Should have known it was too easy for this lot. They are doing very well.
I'll tell you what, just to add the level, just to add the level of add to the level of kind of challenge. Shall we do them all like that? There's only a few.
Oh, shall we do?
Yeah, come on, let's see. I've got the questions in front of me because mine's still working.
You've got the questions in front of you. Go on, then.
Yeah. The increase in family diversity is often linked to which broader social process? Is it A, globalization? Oh, no, shall I? No, I know. Am I going to give them the options or not?
More challenging if we don't.
The increase in family diversity is often linked to which broader social process? There's more than one possible answer, I suppose, but let's see what you come up with while I'm trying to see if I can get the thing to
work. The unfortunate thing is some of those questions sort of like there is a which is not a. So
I will have to give the options then. Oh, it's there now. Can you see that now? Yeah.
There we go.
What's going on?
I can see it.
So we've got the options
and it's
now.
on the YouTube screen too.
Yeah, we've got the options now. Don't know what was going there.
Okay, so let's go back. The increase in family diversity is often linked to which broader social process? Is it A, globalization, B, secularization, C, industrialization, or D, colonization?
We've got an interesting
Everybody's
mix
thinking
of answers.
A because you said globalization.
I know, but I was giving the options. Got an interesting mixture, actually. Lots of people saying C, industrialization.
Family diversity.
Which one do you think most impacts on diversity, so the range of families that there are?
Mm-hmm.
They all could have, well, a lot of them could have some impact. But which one has the biggest impact, would you say?
You can see why people are saying C, because you go from sort of like an extended family down to the nuclear family. But then sort of like when you do have that process of industrialization in urban areas, you're more likely to have nuclear families. And in rural areas, you still have the extended family, even though industrialization's occurred. So which of those processes would lead to the family diversity that we see today?
not as
Jessica's
Caitlin's
diverse
gone
as
with B. Lucy's gone with B.
industrialisation.
Jesse's gone
yeah.
with
Jesse
B.
said B
And you're all correct. It
100%.
is
Yeah, that was the one.
Very
You're not
confident.
you're not wrong that some of the others would have an impact as well. Quite a few people seeing globalization might because of perhaps linking it particularly with migration and thinking of the impact that might have had on family forms, etc.
Ethnic
But
diversity
secularization's
within
definitely
family
had
structures.
but secularization would have had the biggest impact. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, question number
Next one.
3. Which of the following is not one of the 5 types of diversity identified by Rappaport and Rappaport? Organizational, horizontal, cultural, or generational? Ooh, some people are coming through with D. Some people are saying B. Some people often use the, let's just give you a kind of link here. Lots
another
of
term.
people are coming up with D. Some people often use the acronym CLOGS. So that might give you a hint. There's a difference between B and D. Off topic, are we doing an OCR English live stream? No.
I don't believe so.
It'd be pretty strange for us to do an English live stream.
Well, that's us 3 in particular, but no, as far as I'm aware, you are.
Yes, people talking about CLOGS. Exactly. No, we're not. Yes, horizontal is correct. So B.
Yeah.
L is life course.
Yes.
Somebody's asked what's the L stand for in CLOGS. Sometimes we call generational as cohort. Also, you can talk about kind of obviously sort of like the C often it stands for cultural as well. Question number 4. According to the New Right, the decline of the traditional nuclear family has led to A, greater equality, B, welfare dependency, C, greater diversity, and D, a rise in individualism. Lots of people coming through with B, which is good. You know your New Right. You know that they basically blame sort of like, kind of the decline of the nuclear family for welfare dependency. That is correct. Well done. There's everybody who said B. It's quite a flurry of B's come through.
There was, yeah.
Right. And number 5.
I reckon people will get this one as well.
What does the term LAT family stand for? Living apart together, legal and traditional, long-term arranged tie, or latitudinal? That is, more children across a generation. Yeah, didn't trick them, didn't fool them with that, did I? It was A. It was living apart together, living apart togethers. We didn't trick, we didn't fool them with that. Excellent, really good answers. Well done.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back to the studio. I've got a couple of questions in the chat window, which I'll just easy peasy lemon squeezy, apparently, according to Lovian, which we'll just come back to. Some of these I think we've already answered, so I'll just go to the ones that we haven't. In terms of globalization, what theories can I include for families? So if you've got a question on globalization, it could be something like the impact of globalization on, particularly if it's like an outline and explain 10 marker. So it depends what they're asking, what it's had an impact on. It might be family structure, it might be the function, the roles of the function of the family. It might be on childhood. So earlier Sarah mentioned about globalization of childhood, family diversity. Quite a few of those linked with kind of ethnicity and sort of migration, but remember that's not the only feature of globalization by any means, and so you might want to talk about other features of globalization as well. We had one about globalization and gender division of labour, or division of labour, didn't we, a couple of years ago. So it does come up from time to time. In terms of theory, I tend to associate globalisation with your late and postmodern type theorists. So, Beck and Giddens and those sorts of ones you could get in. Any others you'd add, Craig or Sarah? Probably some around migration.
That is late and postmodernist, isn't it? So you've got, if you're thinking of Giddens, you're thinking about that individualisation of that kind of isolated nuclear family. Judith Stacey, for the fact that we've apparently got more choice than we've ever had. Things like the divorce extended family, things like that.
Yeah.
As a product of kind of all these kind of impacts of globalisation. Technology as an impact of globalisation, easier to that kind of disembedding of time and space and being able to be more connected even if you're a transnational family.
Yeah, and you could link that with things like living apart together and all that kind of thing. That would be a way to
digital nomads, world schooling, travelling families.
Oh, loads of cool stuff there. Well done. This one, I always think this
They
one's
do like.
Oh, sorry.
They do like to use globalization, don't they? It does
Yeah.
tend to be applied as in those 10 markers.
Yeah, it's one of those synoptic things, a bit like
good to know
policies. Yeah, like policies and demographics. It's the sort of thing you can link between the different spec points. So it does come up in the 10 markers. Yeah. Sorry, Craig. You were going to say it's good to know what the different features
I
of
was going to say
globalisation.
it's good. Yeah, it's good to know the features. Good to know the features of globalization, so you can then apply them across the different topic areas.
Now, ones about perspectives are always slightly tricky because not everybody who writes fits neatly into one of our perspectives that we talk about. So I have seen in some textbooks Donslot described as a Marxist. I don't think Donslot would have described themselves as a Marxist, but definitely a conflict theorist. Yeah, I don't know if that helps. Critical, definitely critical.
Definitely from a critical perspective.
Yeah.
Not a theory we talk about much at A level, but Foucauldian. If you think about your ideas of Foucault, you might have from crime and surveillance.
Yeah.
And Donslot kind of fits in with that.
Yeah, that's the origin.
Yeah, kind of police in the
critical.
family.
Yeah.
Police in the family and surveillance of the family, yeah.
Yeah. I think we talked about Gashuni. What are the questions for families and households again, as in the order? So it's 2 10s and a 20. And then you do that again for whatever your part B topic is, beliefs or media or stratification or whatever it might be, global development. I don't want to leave any of them out now. I've started. But yeah, so outline, explain 10 marker, apply and analyse 10 marker, and your 20 marker. Then you move on to your other topic. That one's nice and straightforward. Am I right in saying industrialisation helped form the extended family? Depends which theorist you look at, but yes, I think it was Anderson, I think, who said that early industrialization led to more extended families because when people first moved, sort of urbanization and early industrialization, when first people moved, they used family members for support. So his study of the census, I think it was in Preston, showed actually people being more likely to move in with families and stuff because there was provided a support network in a new and unfamiliar situation. That was quite different from some other research. Certainly Parsons' sort of armchair theory was that it was all extended in pre-industrialization and went nuclear as a result of industrialization, so that you get slight variations depending on whether people actually did some historical research or just imagined what might have happened. Sorry, I'm not allowed to slag off Durkheim, am I? Because he's a legend. I'm not slagging him off, just saying he wasn't a historian. So Laslett and Anderson as social historians did find that it didn't quite go through the process that Durkheim suggested it might have done. And this one isn't a content one. Around when are you thinking that you might do a media live? We haven't scheduled that particular one yet. Next Wednesday we're doing beliefs, but I think it will be probably during next week, and it might be a daytime. I'll have a chat with the guys, see what time, but it'll probably be during a half-term one. A couple of people earlier were asking about kind of more niche topics like stratification, because there aren't a huge number of you doing it, although it's great that it's a great topic, we do want to support everyone. It might be that we put a couple of things out that aren't live for that, but that we'll try and we have got existing things that we've done from previous years, and we might sort of give them a little push and remind people that they're there. Okay, thank you very, very much, everybody. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Sarah, for wonderful activities that got lots of really good answers. I thought that people were challenging themselves very well there. And if you do beliefs, we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. If you do media, you'll keep an eye on the TCU website for when we're doing it.
The best thing to do for that is kind of subscribe and sign up for notifications, and once they are scheduled, what will happen is you'll get notifications that pop up. So sort of the beliefs and the family one obviously sort of came up this week, didn't they? And then obviously sort of we'll schedule once we've kind of sat down with everybody and sort of see what we can do for media and things like maybe cultural identity. whatever,
Yeah.
or strat, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Whichever
we'll see.
one.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much, guys. And we'll see you before there's another exam. So I won't say good luck for the exams. I'll keep going with your revision and see you in the next live stream. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Well done, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.